Welcome to Beyond the Broadsheet, a podcast by the Lincoln County News. We are a community newspaper based in Mid-Coast, Maine, and we provide the most comprehensive, in-depth coverage available anywhere of the 18 towns and one plantation that make up Lincoln County. My name is Christina Wallace, and I'm a reporter here at LCN covering the towns of Noblesboro, Bremen, Bristol, and South Bristol.
And I'm Juell. I'm covering Damariscotta, Newcastle, Whitefield, and Edgecombe.
In our last episode, Mick LaBelle and Lucas McNelly gave us a preview of fall sports in Lincoln County. Today, Lucas interviews John, I think it's pronounced Stirratt, John Stirratt, for a preview of Sonic Sleepover at
Otyokwa.
Yeah, what you said. Yeah. But first, here are some of our top stories from our Thursday, September 11th edition of the Lincoln County News.
So our leading story was Wiscasset residents validate $10.74 million education budget. So in a pretty close vote, Wiscasset voters validated the town's $10,744,119 education budget. And like I said, close vote. On Thursday, September 4th, residents voted to validate the budget 123 to 121 at the polls after having previously approved the budget proposal with minimal discussion at a special town meeting on July 23rd. The budget poses a $171,116 or 1.62% increase over the previous year. Wiscasset Superintendent of Schools Kim Anderson said in an email, "This year's budget supports students and staff's continuous improvement while increasing expenses by less than 2%. She said, "I am glad we had the opportunity for this second budget to be passed because I think it cleared the doubt that some school committee members may have had. This sets us up for a successful year working together for Wiscasset schools."
Awesome. Glad they had the chance to redo that and get everything settled there.
Yeah, It came together. Second time was a charm.
Absolutely. A new Wiscasset lifestyle store aims to provide products that are rooted in craftsmanship. A historic house on Water Street has been transformed into the latest location for the store, Plain Goods, which is a lifestyle store that offers clothing, leather goods, and antique furnishings, and all of it is rooted in timeless design, ethical production, and respect for craftsmanship. The shop offers a curated mix of men's, women's, and children's clothing, as well as shoes, bags, antique furnishings, and vintage clothing and accessories. Mm-hmm. Many items come from their private label line, which is produced in small factories in Europe and by local craftspeople in Maine and beyond. Mm. Owners Michael DePerno and Andrew Fry opened the brand's first location in New Preston, Connecticut in 2015. The new Wiscasset store, which opened during the Wiscasset Art Walk on Thursday, August 28th, is the second location for the brand. As longtime Maine visitors, DePerno and Fry said that they were drawn to the strong community spirit in Wiscasset when it came to finding a home for their second location. It's also, I didn't include this in the story, but they did say that they found the location 2 weeks before they opened.
Oh, wow.
So they had done like all of that work within 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What a turnaround.
DePerno said, "Our store is a reflection of all of the things we care about and see value in things of beauty, but also functionality. Quality is key, so our intention is to have people buy things they love and to keep these things for years to come." Plain Goods is open 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And Sunday, they're open by chance or by appointment. For more information, you can call 882-1438. That's their shop phone number. Or you can go to plaingoods.com. You can also find them on Instagram at plaingoodsshop.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Sounds very cool. In less cool news, Walterboro Select Board finds mobile home park owner. So I followed up on Christina's coverage about violations at the East Ridge Mobile Home Park by going to the Walterboro Select Board meeting on Tuesday, September 9th, where the board said that they would move forward with fining property owner Fred Bess. The Walterboro Select Board had previously discussed these code violations the previous week on Tuesday, August 28th, and said if, quote, substantial change was not seen in the state of the property, they would move forward with fining Bess. Code Enforcement Officer Mark Stoltz said that there are at least 3 unregistered vehicles on the property and the sewer leakage site has not been adequately covered. Stoltz also said there appears to be new furniture and trash on some lots, which was a major point of concern. Bess said that although he has made efforts to comply with the board's requests, some residents have resisted having items thrown out. Bess will be fined $500 a day until their next select board meeting, where they will also request Bess to provide his lease agreements and rules. Yeah, it was definitely not as intense as last time, but there were some residents in attendance who came to kind of speak out from their perspective. And town manager Julie Kaiser made a point of saying that she feels like there's some miscommunications happening about the board's intent by trying to address these violations. So, yeah, we'll see what happens next.
Tough situation for everyone, it sounds like.
Indeed, yeah.
MDEA drug investigation results in 3 arrests in Edgecombe. 2 residents of Edgecombe and a resident of Massachusetts are in custody on drug charges following a month-long investigation into drug trafficking in Edgecombe. John Andretta Jr., 36, and Gianna Gustafson, 42, of Edgecombe, and Wyatt Kennedy, 21, of Dorchester, Massachusetts, were arrested as a result of several undercover buys of drugs at a residence shared by Andretta and Gustafson at 8 Wawanock Road, according to a press release issued by the Maine Department of Public Safety spokesperson Shannon Moss.
Dang, intense stuff. After 32 years in the military, Wiscasset resident tackles state ferry service. So, following a 32-year career of military and diplomatic service, Edward E.J. DuPont is charting new waters as he heads the state's ferry service and resettles in his childhood state of Maine. So the retired colonel spent the last half of his career managing military operations between the U.S. and foreign governments like Belgium, Uganda, so on and so forth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He's lived in a number of different places across the globe. But he said the ferry service has posed new and interesting challenges of its own. DuPont and his wife, Katie, decided it was time to return to their roots after DuPont retired from his military career. And since starting at the ferry service on July 14th, DuPont said that no day on the job has been the same. He's gotten to test out the ferries. He's given almost all of them a shot. I remember he said there was one he hadn't quite gotten to yet.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, just getting to know all the different people across the service and taking on management. So he said in his almost 2 months as director, he has the top priorities of safety, reliability, and communication, and just, making sure that the service is stable for island residents who depend on it for their day-to-day. So, yeah.
Awesome. We have another new business in Wiscasset that also opened at the Wiscasset Art Walk. It's an avian-themed art gallery, which is called the Bird Gallery, and it's owned by Rachel Altschuler, and it features her works alongside 3 guest artists, Jan Weir, Sue Saccone, and Francesca Needham. Altschuler originally opened the art gallery in Westchester, Pennsylvania in 2009, where she only sold her paintings. It was known as the Rachel Altschuler Art Gallery. She then moved to New Harbor, and she decided that she wanted to downsize and have an area where she could be open all year round and have a lot more foot traffic. And so thus the Bird Gallery came to be. And she said that she was inspired by birds because Maine has a really big bird community, I guess you could say. Like birds are used in a lot of advertising and things. So it just felt like a Maine thing.
Yeah,
she said, people here love birds. I feel like Maine does so much. There is the Maine Audubon, the Puffin Project. It just felt like the right place at the right time. So the bird gallery is open 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Thursday through Sunday, and by chance or by appointment. And for more information, you can go to thebirdgallery.com.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Love a good avian theme gallery.
Absolutely.
In some municipal news, the Damerscott Select Board appropriated up to $75,000 for road improvements. Board members voted to appropriate up to $75,000 from the paving and drainage reserve for several road improvements at their meeting on Wednesday, September 3rd. In a memo to board members, Town Manager Andy Dorr said patch and overlay work is necessary in a few spots around town, including Westview Road, Pleasant Street, Hodgdon Street, Pine Ridge, Heater Road, the Belvedere Road Extension, and Church Street. The projects will include asphalt overlay work, which places asphalt over an existing surface as a way to resurface and repair roads, which I definitely did not know what an overlay entailed before I had to try to research it. Dora said these are all meant to be repair jobs or temporary short-term solutions until we can get the money together to be able to do a larger project.
Awesome. The Bristol Select Board appointed members to its budget committee at their meeting on Wednesday, September 3rd. Alex Bodette, Tom Bishop, and Keith Mestrick were reappointed to serve on the committee for 3-year terms. They will be joined by newcomer John Summers, who moved to Bristol full-time in 2023. The budget committee has a total of 12 seats. 4 seats were up for appointment for the upcoming budget year. And each member serves a 3-year term, and the terms are staggered so that 4 positions will expire each year. So they will be on the Bristol's budget committee for this coming year.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
In some more drug offense related news, Wiscasset officer praised for quick thinking during traffic stop. This is by our own Sherwood Olin. Wiscasset officer Jonathan Barnes is being praised for his quick thinking after an accidental exposure to a white powdery substance briefly incapacitated Wiscasset Police Chief Larry Hesseltine on Monday, September 8th. A statement issued by Wiscasset Town Manager Dennis Simmons said Barnes administered a dose of Narcan to Hesseltine after he became unresponsive while conducting a traffic stop in Edgecombe. Simmons said, "I commend Officer Barnes for drawing on his experience and training to act decisively and without hesitation." Definitely intense stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot coming out of Edgecombe this week.
Yeah, one could say.
For our character of the county, our very own Sherwood Olin interviewed David Pope and said he has slowed, but he has not stopped. Pope, who is on the mend from a case of meningitis, is learning how to live a new normal, but refuses to stop doing the things he loves. He is a lifelong musician, skier, hiker, and outdoorsman, and he also enjoys sailing, cycling, and tennis. To read more about David Pope, you can pick up a copy of this week's edition of the Lincoln County News.
Very nice.
Yeah. And now here is Lucas McNelly and his guest, John Stirratt.
Okay, we're here with John Stirratt from Wilco in the studio with us. Did I say that right?
That's correct.
I got it right. All right. And so we've checked. I haven't checked the entire back catalog, but I'm pretty sure you're the first Grammy winner on this podcast.
Oh, is that right? Wow.
I believe so.
Gosh, it's been a while since we won a Grammy, so I'm starting to forget. And but no, it's nice to be reminded once in a while. But that's hope first of many, and glad to be the first here.
Now, I will say that Julie Kaiser, who is the Waldeboro's town manager, she did have a really good Bruce Springsteen story on the podcast. So I don't know if it's not quite being a Grammy winner. But so if you have any good Bruce Springsteen stories, that now is the time to unload them.
You know what? I don't, other than playing, before him at Bonnaroo and seeing him as a youth. I have not had much interaction, unfortunately, but but not yet. But the way he looks, it looks like he might be around for another 45 years. So.
He's going to go forever.
It's true.
All right. So my first question is, you were raised in Louisiana, and then you're the bass player in Wilco, if people don't know, like some of our young reporters who are too young to know about Wilco, but we're working on them. Famously a Chicago band, and yet here you are in Mid-Coast, Maine. How does that happen?
Well, through marriage, I would say. My wife,
a lot
Chrissy,
of things happen.
Yep, exactly. It's how a lot of people end up in Maine and everywhere else, for that matter, where they're not native. And I was born in New Orleans, raised outside in the North Shore, Lake Pontchartrain, in a town called Mandeville, which was at the time a really small sort of little arts community, which is now a full-fledged suburb of New Orleans. But it was my wife who brought me to the Twin Villages area, and I had been here once before in '99. Wilco played the Camden Opera House.
Okay,
and I was up here, and I remember we met these kids. We were going to Boston. This was like July. This must have been like June 29th or 30th, 1999, because we played the Opera House. We met these hippie kids who ran the restaurant, which is just right next to the Opera House, which is still that kind of funky place in downtown Camden. I forget what it's
called,
but they said, we'll drive you all the way to Boston, and they drove us through. They drove, and I remember stopping. They took us to Moody's. We stopped at Moody's, and we stopped at King Iders. I remember that. And when I first came back with Chrissy years later, I was like, wait, I feel like I've been here before, and it slowly sort of crept in. But yes, my wife has ties, in down the peninsula, especially South Bristol, and then Bremen, starting in the '90s, where her parents started year-rounding, and that's always been primarily home for her. So, and I always really loved Maine. Touring here in Portland, and I think the first time, I played at Bowdoin the first time. That was the first time I came, like maybe in '92.
Oh wow!
Playing with Uncle Tupelo, yeah. And but I remember loving Portland in those days, especially, and always I like maritime culture. I like boats and it's Maine is of course full of that. So I've always enjoyed it here.
The local in me hears road trip from Camden to Boston and stopping at Moody's and King Iders as a very strange road trip choice.
Yeah,
because they're awfully close together.
It's very, I don't remember stopping anywhere in Kittery or Portsmouth or anything like that, or Portland for that matter. But I wonder why they did that. But I'm sort of, I saw Moody's and I was like, we have to stop there. That's incredible. Oh, yeah. But usually we roll in, we're in buses in the middle of the night, so you do miss a lot of the landscape.
Sure.
And, so a day drive is kind of a rarity for a lot of bands, And
that was back in the days when Moody's was open all night.
Right.
And they were 24 hours for until probably about around then.
Yeah.
Probably it was around 99, because I was the overnight kitchen prep person.
Oh my gosh.
When it ended, and that ended when I was in college.
How much business would you get like at 3:45 on a Tuesday in February?
Nothing. But you get somebody.
Yeah.
You get somebody who's like road tripping or like driving back from a Celtics game to MDI or something, and it was mostly like it was open for the few people who would come in. You get a random bus, stuff like that.
It's incredible. Yeah, just keeping the restaurant open for one or two people a night. It's kind of amazing.
But I mean, the staff there was one waitress, and it was the overnight cook, and it was the kitchen prep, and we spent most of the time prepping for the morning, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And getting them ready. And then what we would do is we would get it all done in like the first hour, and then we would play cards for like 4 hours.
Out in the restaurant?
Yeah, and then we would let everything pile up. And then when the morning people came in, we would be like, boy, it was really busy last night. Do all the work.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Yeah. What an institution. It's incredible.
So you mentioned Uncle Tupelo. You joined. How did you end up in Uncle Tupelo? Because you weren't there the whole time. You showed up in '92, right?
Right. And I was sort of, I went to college at Ole Miss in Oxford, Mississippi, and sort of got in a band immediately there, like my freshman year, which was kind of more of a show band. It was like we basically, I met these guys who a guitar player was leaving an already existing band. I just kind of popped in there, and they were doing covers. They were doing oldies covers, and we were at the time, sort of REM replacements. Cure were kind of, this is like 84, 85. So we're like, let's play some of these and see what the kids at the frat think about this, or
sure.
whatever. And it became this kind of really popular thing. We had a real booking agent. We had our own PA and lights and all this. It was a show band really that lasted for 2 or 3 years. And while I was in college, I would drive, the other guys weren't in school at the time. I was still going to classes. The van would go to drive to Nashville, and I would, after class, I would go meet them at Vanderbilt, play a show, drive back to school overnight and go to class on Friday morning, and then go meet them, and they would have gone to Hattiesburg or Birmingham or something like that. So that sort of just, it took off in this weird way, and then we, some core members of the band, we were like, well, we have to write our own music here.
That was going to be my question.
So
did you stick with covers that long?
Yeah, no, it was for about a year and a half, 2 years really, and then we started playing. I guess I was 18. Yeah, 18 or so. So, and I had already started to write our own material. We kind of morphed into that band, and started playing around the Southeast, just doing originals. It was a good scene at the time. It was a great. All of the towns like Jackson, Mississippi, Birmingham, Nashville, all had little punk rock or what were called underground club. And this was like the underground era, 87, 88.
Some might say the glory days.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible. It was a really, really fertile club scene. Shows were, inexpensive enough. Kids would go out every night, to see whatever band. If it were, Black Flag, or if it were a, national band, then the cover would be more like 10, or 8 or something.
I tell the kids that, and they're like, there's no way you saw this band for that price point. I'm like, no, we absolutely did.
Oh yeah, completely. No, I mean, it was just all, and the Southeast was it had its own, Athens had kind of been played out at that point, but REM were still obviously around. Birmingham had an amazing scene. But anyway, Oxford, not much of a scene there other than our band really. And my sister and my other bandmate got a cassette at the college radio station that was a band called Uncle Tupelo, and we they brought it home. We played it. Really loved it. There's a phone number on the back. It was a pre-No Depression Uncle Tupelo cassette, and called the number on the back. It was Tony Margarita, who managed us until about 5 years ago, and said. And back then we had access to it. Like, we could basically book our friends at the local club in Oxford, and we had the band Crash House right off the square, which so all kinds of bands would stay there, we would just, and then bands would bring us on the road, and Uncle Tupelo came down. We opened for them, really hit it off. Later, they took us on the road, and that's how I sort of got to know them, along with many other bands, really.
Yeah.
From that era. It was just the way it all worked. And
I feel like I can imagine the smell of that house.
yeah,
It was probably not great.
well, we had women living there too, and so there was a level of respectability. Actually, it was
it's not the
really
worst case scenario
ironically
I'm thinking of.
it was not exactly. It was because some of the bands that would stay there, some of the Athens like Love Tractor and bands a little bit older, they were so much more adult. I don't think they would have stayed in a completely hole or whatever. So
Just piles of beer cans.
yeah, no, it was very respectable. But yeah, met a lot of people, a lot of longtime friends there, and that was the beginning of playing with Uncle Tupelo. At that point, I went right after that. I joined another band that I had met in that same circumstance, more around New Orleans, and they were a Lafayette, Louisiana band called the Blue Runners, who were on Island Records, and they were kind of they were a 4-piece. They were white Cajun boys that played like it was kind of like Austin-y kind of music, like but with a front man with a washboard, a guy named John Maloney, and who was they were an incredible band at the time. They went on to be signed by Chris Blackwell at Island, and they sort of expanded their roster. Our band in Oxford had blown up, unfortunately, and I joined that band for a minute, the Blue Runners, but then later went. I got a call from Uncle Tupelo to go roadie with them in Europe. I had never been to Europe on tour.
Like, so not even playing, just carrying equipment.
Carrying guitars.
I roadied for a little bit. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. It actually was fun because also the previous roadie was a guy named Brian Henneman, who was in a band called the Bottle Rockets, and he was basically the fourth member of the band. He would jump on stage and play guitar when he wasn't tuning guitars. So I knew that there was a very narrow window between being in the band and being a road guy.
It's not a hard and fast division of labor there.
Right, exactly. It was a one-person crew, and but I did find myself dry immediately. Like, we got a European tour, Italy, and the promoters are, giving me the keys to this delivery van in the north of Italy, and I have to drive like 50 miles around Lake Como to like deliver equipment for the band, with
no GPS.
Motorcycles passing, just insanity, Italian driving. And so it's like thrown into it pretty heavily at that point. But, and then later, we did the touring for that record, and then by 93 at the beginning, I was invited to play on the Anodyne record. So that's how I ended up joining the band when it expanded to a 5-piece for that record in 93. So
very cool. And then Uncle Tupelo famously splits up, and then you go with Jeff in the divorce, and that turned out to be a really good decision on both of your parts, it seems.
Well, it was interesting because Jeff, we were having a great time because Uncle Tupelo, they already had, by that time, by the fourth record, they had a lot of buzz in the Midwest.
Oh, yeah.
The shows were they all felt amazing. They were big.
It's a legendary band for people who don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of those bands, what's the saying? Like, they sold 15 albums, but those 15 people all started their own band.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of those bands.
It definitely, they really were, they were of the time, but they were also not of the time in this like really interesting way. Just with a songwriter, Jay Farrar, who was just, just incredible, George Jones-ish voice, and Jeff was really the second songwriter in the band, bassist. And he started to play more guitar. That was the thing when I came in on the last record, I was playing bass. I would play bass and guitar, and Jeff would alternate bass and guitar too. So, and we expanded. We had a violin, multi-instrumentalist, and but yeah. So that ran its course really quickly. They had been playing together for 15 years at that point, growing up together, and there was a fissure there that no one really understood, but it wasn't going to progress beyond that one tour, and much to our chagrin. But
you've got to be like the person who's like, I just got this gig.
I know what happened. I know
this was going well.
Let's keep going. But Jeff did. He really wanted to proceed with it, and we were totally psyched to do that, and jumped right into AM after that. I mean, we immediately, like couple of weeks after, went in and recorded that record.
I didn't realize it was that quick.
It was really quick. I'm glad we did it that way. Sunvolt, with Jay's solo project was called Sunvolt, and they took a lot of time and kind of came out of the gate really with a super strong record, that kind of eclipsed ours at the time, and that kind of became the beginning of the whole Wilco story, which has lasted for 30 years now,
which is insane.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy. I can't believe it. It's and just getting off tour again with the band. It's wild,
Yeah, because you guys are everywhere now, and you're doing Letterman when Letterman was a thing, and SNL and stuff like this. What was the first really heady moment where you turn around and you go, "How did I get here?" And this is insane.
Wow. Well, there were these small moments where you felt like it was like, okay, well, this is going to have some legs, kind of thing. But there was this residency at the Fillmore in 2000. I remember that was like, this is okay. This is really feeling like we had a big spread in the Examiner and all this stuff, and I was just kind of like, and we were. Our draw, after the first album and sort of having diminishing returns with our draw, after being there came out, Jay Bennett joined the band. The band became more coalesced. And we sort of, the second record was like, we didn't have anything to lose in many ways. So we just kind of made this kind of crazy sprawling double album, and that caught a lot of attention. And but definitely by 2000, it kind of felt like, whoa, this is, at least from a attendance standpoint, has legs.
It's starting to pick up.
But I think it was also, playing, opening for REM and in Munich or in Bologna.
That's got to be a heady moment
in a stadium. There are times like that were, and then I've had a lot of moments like that for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So it's luck. It's been a super lucky experience.
I don't want to skip over Summer Teeth because Summer Teeth might be my favorite album. But oddly enough, and I'll be completely honest with you, don't like the first 10 seconds of the album and love the rest of it. So I will often just skip. I hit the 15 seconds ahead thing on Spotify, and just, it's like something about that, because I know the intro, it strikes me the wrong way. I don't know why. It's probably me.
No, well,
but I love the album.
That song was, an add-on. It was
really
that song was brought to us to. That song was not on the original record. It was, it was the classic "Don't Hear a Single" thing. So they paid for us to go back out to L.A. to Ocean Way, and Jeff had that song. And
interesting.
But it's there's some, there's a tone. There's a little bit of a tone shift for the rest of it. So the rest
that makes
of it
sense.
Definitely has a different feel to it, but it's astute that you maybe you sense that.
Maybe my instincts were not as bad as I thought. I was just like, well, I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe I don't get it.
It's like the the orchestra bells and everything. It's like, what is that? But
that's like probably how some people felt when they were listening to Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. They're like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah, there's something that I kind of like about something disorienting like that and unexpected, and we certainly were not chasing it, but welcoming it when it did happen in the studio.
Right. So I want to talk to you about the documentary "I Am Trying to Break Your Heart" by Sam Jones, which is not streaming, for some reason.
Oh, is it not right
It's
now?
not currently streaming. I have a DVD at home, but I know you're like a big film buff. So was it like, what's being a big film buff, like you then being part of a documentary, being the subject of a documentary, how much are you like, okay, I'm in the documentary. How much are you like, let me take a look at that camera over there. What are you guys doing?
Well, it's so, well, there's so much, it's really, unfortunately, so removed from those two parts of my interests are so removed because it was ostensibly a documentary about making a record. And I'm supposed to be busy doing the music and like have my mind completely there. The fact that they were shooting 16 millimeter black and white, I was like, oh, cool. Okay. There's canister, but at that time, digital wasn't that prevalent.
Wasn't an option.
So it was the industry standard. And so no, we were more, it was just more inner band dynamic stuff going on basically, which documentaries are brutal in that way.
Is it hard to watch yourself in a documentary like that?
Well, I could see which way the wind was going with this in terms of just the grandstanding that was going on in the documentary. I was like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to really be quiet unless I'm interviewed by myself. And I don't, it just, there's nothing like a bunch of cameras in a room to change someone's behavior.
Sure.
And, there's all reality, maybe reality's different because it's really such a long shoot and you do forget about it. But they weren't there often enough for us to forget about it, so they were, and there were just people, I don't know. It was just not a natural Wilco session. For me, the previous 3 or 4 years had been. That being said, they weren't there all the time either. So we sort of got down to certain things later that weren't covered. But I will say that Sam he made himself available and captured, I love the artfulness, the artful quality. I thought at the very least it would be cool to have a document of us being in the studio. Yeah. Really, I didn't imagine all of the, other plots.
How much more lucky can you get as a documentary filmmaker in picking an album to do and having it be that one and having that drama come out? Because he could have done Summer Teeth, and it would have been a much different documentary and probably doesn't get nearly as much attention just because of what happened with Yankee Hotel Foxtrot and its release and the whole story about the label dropping you and then reselling it to the same parent company, the different label. Like, what a stroke of luck.
And he was really, he wasn't always sure when we were filming. I don't know what the deal with management was with him or whatever, but I was talking to him on the phone in the middle of, whatever. And I was like, oh yeah, we're going in on Tuesday. He's like, what? It was like, all right, like fly out, amass a crew but he made himself present at the times where he was able to get a story, including when we were dropped and interviewing the manager when we were dropped. So just enough to really, there were much of the record he didn't really get or anything or the expectation, but it really, at that point, the process wasn't even the most important thing in a way. It was really about it, that it was about that. It was about being dropped. It was about the label struggle and all that. So
when you guys got dropped, how much of it was oh no, we're screwed, and how much of it was, I think we've got a really good album here and it's got an audience and I don't know how big the audience is, but I think there's people who will like this?
It was my feeling, and I was probably sheltered a little bit from it. I was like I don't know if I got the worst of it, but in our mind, we couldn't change the record. The record was mixed to 2-track by Jim O'Rourke in this process that made it a complete anomaly.
You mean like technically, not in like
there's no
we
way
will not.
We can't take the stems and go in. I mean, we could, but it was just like too much trouble. I mean, he basically, we were recording analog to early Pro Tools to live to 2-track. He would do these cinematic type mixes, and in a way that it just wouldn't get. It wouldn't allow for us to like, just a quick remix of I'm trying to break your heart.
We just can't go in here and like tweak this little thing in Pro Tools.
Exactly.
It's a whole thing.
We were like, okay, this. It made it much easier to stick to our guns.
That's probably that probably helps.
There was no alternative, and not that we wanted to do it anyway. I mean, we were happy with the record, and there was also this feeling of we were going to be dropped, but we weren't going to. They weren't going to hold on to the record. There was always this feeling, and I don't know how if that was always the case. But by the time I spoke to Jeff, he felt that we're not going to be deprived of the record. They're not going to like hold it in purgatory or anything. So we thought we could probably sell it to somebody else.
What I always heard was that they dropped it, but there was enough critical love of the band that like the PR hit of burying it wasn't worth it. That's what I had always heard, but I don't know how accurate that is.
Oh, you mean Warner?
Yeah, like the original label. They're like, if we bury this album, it's going to get out, and people are going to be really mad at us.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't really recall that, other than one thing about our band, we were the first band to really stream a record, and support it on a QuickTime file, which we did like later on. Before None Such had picked it up, we did this in that meantime when we had these shows right around 9/11. It was like a week after 9/11, and I don't recall that actually, but I know some people really like the record at the label for sure, and they felt like this is going to come back on us, but
we're going to look dumb here.
Yeah, but I mean, Warner's was every record we put out. It seemed like we were Reprise originally. When we first signed to Reprise, Mo Austin, Lenny Waronker was still the heads of the label, the guys who Frank Sinatra had hired. Yeah. It was like really old time music business era. And then every time we had a record, there was a regime change and just a lot of, it was just it was already, the whole business was in flux, but especially Warner Brothers, Did
bands survive regime changes better than films do? Because in film, if you've got a film in pre-production or in development, and there's a regime change, like your film's dead.
Yeah, it's
because it's like this isn't our film. But a band, it's like a longer thing, right?
People champion projects, and if they're no longer with the organization,
there's no champion.
Yeah, absolutely. And think about how expensive a movie is compared to a record.
So bands are a little more sheltered, I guess, from that, because it's not a one-off thing. It's a continuing relationship.
I think it depends on how much juice the band has, or how much self-sufficiency. And at that point we're like, okay, we'll just go play. Sorry,
no,
we'll go and tour, and make a living that way. And the writing a little bit was on the wall in terms of royalties anyway. At that point, it's like, but it was going to be about the live show anyway in the coming years. And but yeah, there was a feeling that I think if you have more option there, less debt. You have less debt. It's a good thing.
The filmmakers are so jealous of the idea that bands can just go tour and make money that way, because we can road show, but it's a whole thing to try to road show one movie, and whereas a band can just sort of show up anywhere.
No, that I've never thought about that. That must, I mean, it's true. It's like, going back to the medieval, it's the, just a traveling musician, just has come back to in any way.
Okay. So our resident bass player had wanted me to ask you some bass questions, Sherwood. So, he wanted to know, how does playing bass in Wilco inform your songwriting in like the Autumn Defense or in other projects, and vice versa?
That's kind of interesting because sometimes, sometimes you know, if I have a bass line, there's something hooky can come out of it. And then I always try to remember to record those on the side. I'm just like, for an intro to a song or for something. And sometimes those have turned into licks that I could use for other songs. It actually,
like you're doing bass in a Wilco song and then you're just sort of noodling around and you find a thing and you're like, put that aside.
And I keep doing it, and I'm just like, and I just try to make a point to remember it or just record it at the time. And I think it's mainly it's like a sense of changes too. It's like chord changes, and it's just a very loose sort of melodic, chordal melodic relationship that you can transfer from some experience. And I mean, Jeff, his songwriting is definitely in my DNA in some small
I would
way.
imagine
not that I can reproduce it or anything, but that it is like it is like it's implicit. There's something inside of me about it for sure. And I think that has some sort of.
Is it something like working a different muscle? Like you go to the gym, you're doing your chest, and then I'll do arms, and it's all upper body, but it's different applications.
No, it's just not. It's not that physical, It's just more. It's more. I mean, almost spiritual. Even it's almost like playing. There's a mystery in playing live too, repeatedly, and like having. We have like. Over 350 songs that we can sort of choose from almost at any time, and there's a sort of and we've been doing these two set shows on this last tour, this evening with, where it's just a long show, and very often there's a mystery about muscle memory and about thinking a little bit, but not too much when you're on stage, just to make it really enjoyable and to really be in the moment. But you're not just laboring over D over G, where your fingers just go there. You know what I mean? And there's something to that with even writing music and accompanying people that write. There's just a mystery, There's just a mystery to it, and that leads you to a place. I don't know. It's the same sort of mindset. It's not like, it's not physical in that way. It's more absolute, subconscious almost, I think.
And then the other, he wanted to also know like the process of getting sort of locked in with the drummer, because I'm not a musician at all. I know a little bit about music. You've probably forgotten more this week than I know about music, but my understanding is the bass player and the drummer are sort of in concert with each other, right? Yeah. And then that's sort of driving the song.
Well, with me, with Glenn, he's a modern composer. He's incredibly well trained. He can play and you can just rattle off time signatures, and where I have to sit there and count. Like there's no way I can do certain things on a dime like that. I'm just not trained that well. I do have, I'm a feel guy, which means I'm not not mad technical, and he is, but he still has good feel too, and so I can talk to things about him, but he's in the stratosphere in terms of that kind of thing. And I've tried to get better and better, and I have gotten better at it, but I think I have an experience and an instinct that's also really good that he learns from. I probably have a wider range of music that I know about in terms of what Wilco draws on.
Okay.
Sort
of the source material.
But then again, he knows about modern composition that, he knows tons of stuff I'll never know. So, and that's the fun thing about Wilco. It is this a bunch of people with these just really not super different record collections, but different enough that it's like this crazy,
What's a source?
Atmosphere.
A source for Wilco that I would go, oh, I wouldn't have thought that.
Well, I think. Well, I'll say Captain Beefheart just pops into my mind.
Okay.
Because Jeff is. I mean, we're all fans. Whatever. Nels, me, Jeff especially, and that there's something. The absurdist quality of that band has really influenced his songwriting in a big way, and that's something that has always been a big keystone for us. I mean, forever, basically. And, but all over the map, really, we definitely had that era around, after Yankee Hotel and Ghost is Born. There was a real minimalist krautrock kind of thing, like with all the Noi and all the krautrock bands but certainly all kinds of folk and country and just good old rock and roll, Beatles, Stones, Kinks. I mean, Kinks are a huge influence on all of us. Kinks, Zombies.
Cool. So you've been playing in this band for, what is it now, 30
years, yeah.
30 years. So you must have played, the name of the song just popped out of my head. The Billy Bragg song.
California Stars?
California Stars. You must have played that a million times. How do you not get sick of playing that?
Well, when it's like a crowd that's super well, or even halfway into it, if there's a bunch of people there and it's a beautiful night of music, we have so many songs that you almost can't get tired of. We do have like 6 that we play every night.
Like in every,
yeah.
People will be mad if you don't play them.
And if we're if it's, say, for example, a super boring crowd for some reason, which is very rare, I would say. But generally, if people are all there for a show and there's just an energy, there's very few songs that I don't look forward to, or not don't look forward to, but that I dread. I mean, there's hardly any I dread. So,
because I remember reading in Bob Dylan's autobiography that he wrote, where it was like, I forget what it was called.
Chronicles?
Yeah. And it was this idea that he got so sick of playing like Highway 61 and he had to sort of reteach himself to, if I'm remembering it correctly, had to sort of reteach himself to play the songs to not be sick of them.
Yeah. He has been kind of on the road nonstop for the last. Yeah. I think there is something to be said for that. Like at least mix up the repertoire, or find a way not to be sick of a song that you have to rearrange it to this point that's like super frustrating for everyone. But that's Bob, and he has carte blanche, of course, to whatever.
He can do whatever he wants. Yeah. Yeah, and you just toured with him and Willie Nelson on the Outlaw Festival. Like, what was that like? It
was really nice. It was, Bob's world is there's a little bit of a darkness around it. I will say that. We toured with him one whole summer too in 2012, Americana-rama. Willie's whole atmosphere of crew and everything is very light and beautiful, and Bob's is definitely a little darker.
Well, Willie's crew is all high, right?
I don't know, actually. I mean, it's like maybe somewhat, but I'm sure like the gaffer. A lot of people aren't climbing climbing towers. But it was great. It was actually so amazing to see Willie and Bob give these masters give these renditions of songs, and the way Bob does it and the way that Willie does it, they're very similar, like old jazzmen just sort of reciting. It's almost like story songs or something. And Willie's accompaniment was amazing. It was much lighter. It was one guy, it was Mickey Raphael on harmonica, upright bass and one drum, very light accompaniment, and it was beautiful. It was great. Just song after song, hit after hit.
I would imagine like just standing backstage and watching him do like Angel Too Close to Ground.
Yeah.
You know, something like that would just be very cool.
I mean, yeah, I don't know if he even did. I mean, it's like so many
He's got so many songs,
that he actually didn't even do that one night, I think. But it's incredible, you know, where they're even in medley fashion, you know.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing I wanted to ask you. So everyone in the band has like 9 side projects, it seems like. Sort of.
Yeah,
at least
maybe
a
not
couple.
that many
Maybe not 9
anymore.
but at least a couple.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, because you've had the same lineup since A Ghost is Born, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Does having all these side projects, does that help the band stay together in a sense? It's almost like the husband has a workshop over here on this side of the house, and the wife has her projects over here on this side of the house, and they can't hear each other.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair analogy. Yeah, to the whole thing for sure. I mean, we, Jeff didn't really put a solo album out for a long time, and then when he did, he really started putting his productivity around. He got a lot more prolific starting around 16, 17, and Autumn Defense had been, we started in 99 doing it, and I was doing it because I wasn't getting, like Jeff was writing a lot of great songs. I wasn't really getting songs into Wilco anymore. But yeah, everyone, I mean, Nels had a massive discography before he ever joined the band.
Sure.
So, he needed an outlet for sure. And, always does. Glenn, everyone. So yes, in short, for sure.
Yeah. And is there like, when you write a song, this might be a really dumb question, but if you're writing a song, when you go, hey, this is an Autumn Defense song, 100%, or this is for some other thing, or this is like, is that just an innate thing at this point? You've been doing it so long.
Yeah. I mean, you think what can be good for that, what can be good for Autumn Defense, what can be good for generally Autumn Defense is more of like an Anglo pop kind of thing. Yeah. And the older I get, I notice I can probably write folky country songs a little bit easier. So those I sort of set aside for some other use eventually, but yeah, so the Autumn Defense stuff is more in that realm of Anglo pop, like late 60s early 70s kind of thing.
And this is where we mentioned that there's a new Autumn Defense album coming out in October,
first in 10 years. Yeah. Wow. October 10th. And we were doing records quite often in those days, back between Wilco records, really starting in 03, 05, and we were kind of doing in between Wilco records, and it got to the point where we just had to put the brakes on in terms of our other responsibilities, my parental responsibilities, which
that's always tricky.
Might have been a bit late putting the brakes on, but then the pandemic came along, and all of a sudden it was like 10 years, like wow, and just putting this, knowing we were putting a record together, it took a couple of years to put together, so it's good that we finally got something going on, and we have a little tour planned for late October as well on Eastern Seaboard. But this Bremen gig will be the first public gig that we do. So should be fun. Yeah.
We're going to put a pin in that because I have a couple more questions. Yeah. They're a little just sort of sporadic. So you did get to go into the Criterion Closet.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And I am so jealous.
Yeah, that was a coup.
How was that? How did you manage to get in the Criterion Closet? It's not a lot of bands.
It was Patrick, my partner in Autumn Defense, bandmate in Wilco, his girlfriend, his companion. They're both big cinema fans.
You guys held your own in the Criterion Closet.
Oh yeah, no, I mean we all have like.
You weren't like, where's the Michael Bay movie?
Right. That would have been that would kind of been refreshing.
That might have been, yeah.
But yeah, we May Moreno contacted them and made it happen, I think.
Wow.
Through our publicist or something, or just brought the idea up, and it was like, oh my God. And because it sort of was still at the front end of it happening, and it really caught fire after that, at least on Instagram. But yeah, it was amazing, and it was almost like you have to go in there and really kind of get your story straight. You know, I was like, I think I can't remember. I think I had Parallax View. I think that's what I grabbed was Parallax View, which was like such a perfect. Actually, Autumn Defense is, since we're doing a promo video, it's actually an unboxing that's going to debut right before the record comes out. Cool. That's like very much an Alan Pakula like kind of vibe that we recorded in this weird hotel in Edmonton with Mike Jorgensen from Wilco as the cinematographer, who he's working on a documentary actually right now.
Oh, really?
On Bob James. So Mike is like actually a naturally really good filmmaker. Yeah, that the Criterion Closet was amazing. I was definitely like, all right, what do you know?
I would be overwhelmed.
Pressure.
I'd be like, can I take this whole shelf?
Yeah, no, it was definitely like, or what do I talk about in my 5 seconds? You know?
Yeah, and you don't want to like, you want to look like you've got some bona fides.
Oh no, yeah, completely. No, I mean, I was, yeah. But I've always been. I went through in my, especially in New Orleans, Chicago years. It was just all movies all the time for me.
Cool.
And I still hold on. We did get a Criterion Channel subscription out of it too, which is killer. So.
That's a great channel. What's the last best movie? What's a good movie you've seen recently?
Let's see, the last good movie. Oh my God, on the spot here. The Devo doc. I will say that the Devo documentary was great. A little bit short. It could have been long. That's the only time I've said that about anything lately. But really well done about that incredible band, and just highly recommended though. Amazing.
Are you looking forward to the Spinal Tap movie?
I like not enough that I know when it's coming out even.
I think it comes out today.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I really should go see it. I will see it. Yeah. I probably will see it in the theater. Yeah.
The ads look pretty good.
Yeah. I did see a trailer.
How much do bands, like I've heard bands just absolutely love the original movie.
It's like accurate? So it's like there are a couple of things. There's Spinal Tap, and then there's Harold Ramis movies that are like I'm 57. For people especially in our little age group, that it is so in the DNA, like stripes, lines. I just say them and I just forget. I just forget, you know what I mean? But I, like several times a week, it'll be Spinal Tap lines, not even on the road with the band, although that's very applicable. But, and it is funny to see younger crew members of Wilco who haven't seen Spinal Tap or don't really even want to see it. I think that's my favorite. It's like, I don't even want to, you can tell me it's funny, but I don't even believe you and trust you. And
old man,
based on your, these lines from Caddyshack or something that you talk about, but it is all in that milieu of like that 80s, it's that kind of shaped, the kind of 50 something sense of humor, probably especially white boys, you know what I mean? From the suburban white boys,
Have you guys had a Spinal Tap moment on the road?
Oh God.
I'm sure
too
several.
Many to remember. Too many to remember. That is hard. I always have to have a road story ready to go because I can never generally forget. Yeah. Nothing. I've definitely I get lost in venues almost every day. So it's not like it's like the Hello Cleveland thing is like an ongoing,
it's an ongoing,
it is. It's a bit that never ends. But yeah, we like bus calamities, just, truck stop, misadventures, everything, But I can't actually name one right now because I think I'm trying to put it out of my mind.
Yeah, sure. Or protect people. Protect the innocent.
That's true, including myself.
And then I had one more question before we go to the main event. Have you seen the Chicago Pope Wilco jokes? And do you have a favorite?
I don't think I have seen them.
Okay.
I've just heard references about Jesus, etc.
It's a lot of Jesus, etc. based jokes.
Yeah.
Like I had one where he's like the first prayer with the college Cardinals, and he's just doing Jesus etc. like lyrics.
Yeah.
And they're all just looking at him like, seriously, dude?
Yeah. What is this? What book is this from?
Yeah.
You know, I haven't heard I've just heard little bits, you know, I haven't heard real jokes, but
It seemed like that was the thing. You got like the Bears, like super fan stuff, and like Wilco, and like the Cubs, and like one or two other things, like deep dish pizza, where it's like all the jokes were sort of those 5 or 6 things.
Yeah, and amazing. Yeah, and it's so incredible to be associated that close with Chicago, with a city. It's so amazing. It's like what the Marina Towers sort of represent for people and everything. It's like, the Wilco, you know, it's
the Wilco building.
Yeah. And which is like one of my favorite buildings in town. So it's like incredible, it's very lucky to have all that. And the Bear was a big bump for us.
Oh, you guys are in the Bear all the time.
And it was literally a lot of kids like really coming out. My daughter was saying, you know, you guys are trending upwards, you know, on TikTok or something. I have no idea, but that basically it was a bump for sure. And you know, it's you know, when you're around for that long, 30 years, you know, there's always there's, you know, generally it was an upward push for so many years, and now it's been a sort of a little bit more of a leveled out kind of thing. But so when they're little upward turns, it's very nice that way, you know.
Yeah. I think it was Handshake Drugs was in one of the episodes in season 1, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so stressful.
Yeah, right.
This is a perfect song choice.
The spiders.
Or spiders, yeah. That might have been it.
And I remember watching half the scene before I knew what the music was, because it was also the live version of it from which I haven't listened to.
So they probably put it out television or something.
Right, yeah. And so it was like, I was like, oh, and then I heard the crowd noise. I'm like, okay. But they used it in a really good way. And I have a little training in kitchens too. So the chaotic nature of it, although it was in Mississippi, so it was like about half speed compared to that. It was not a lot on the line.
I was like, sure, chef, I guess. Is it weird if you're watching like a random movie and you don't know that one of your songs is going to be in it, and then all of a sudden there's a Wilco song?
Oh yeah. That happens a lot. And it also, you know, at the depot, you know, in Thomaston or whatever, and just kind of like, yeah. And but it is funny how rarely, how long it takes you to, because a lot of the songs evolve over time live too. Yeah. And you know, I haven't listened to Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. Well, we did the 20th anniversary, so we went back and did things faithfully for those shows. And so but yeah, years will go by between
you're not listening to AM on regular rotation.
Yeah, I just have a cassette in my car and I'm just banging it, you know, slapping every day, you know.
All right, so I want to get to the main event while we're here. You have the Sonic Sleepover October 4th at, I'm going to try to say this right, Otyokwa?
Yes.
Oh, I did it. In Bremen.
How
did this start?
Well, it's a place that me and my wife have owned for a few years.
It's beautiful, by the way.
It's an old like pocket boys camp from the 30s that for like 5 cabins that has a great history. It was originally kids from New Britain, Connecticut came up, and it was like, you know, typical. You could take the train all the way to Waldoboro. It was in Waldoboro at the time.
The train. Oh yeah, the train does go to Waldoboro, doesn't it?
And back then it would be 85 kids for all, you know. So it was open from 35 to 41. We have amazing photo record of the place, and it closed for World War II. And it ran as a family camp until we bought it, really, in you know, right around 19. So we use it for friend and family gatherings. Generally, it's a great spot perfect spot for a family reunion and stuff like that. So that's the main thing. But we started to get a little bit more into events and just really small music things. So Sonic Sleepover started in 2003 Yes, 23, when I brought Nels Klein and his wife up, Nels from Wilco, and it was more of a modern sound kind of festival that year. And Yuka does these amazing projections and synchronized sound collages and everything. So we started that, and just doing it in a really small way, just whatever artists I could find, very small, and I just had these great experiences of seeing music in amazing outdoor locations, like in Big Sur with my friend who does Henry Miller Library, and he does other shows around Big Sur, and there's these destination and nature things. Japan, like Fuji Rock, they do amazing stuff there too, with small stages in the woods. Cool. And we don't have enough people really to do that yet, but it's basically the same kind of thing. It's music by the lake and in the trees, and this year we're doing more of a folk. It's with Autumn Defense. It's more of a folky, although Glenn will represent more of a modern music kind of aspect to it. But Tough Cats are there, who are a big favorite from Vinyl Haven, I think, originally, and Michaela Davis, who has played at Solid Sound before, but she played at the Waldo a few years ago, and she's a harpist, amazing musician, and it should be great. We have nice food there. It's just a good afternoon, and it'll feel. We usually do it in midsummer, but this will feel a little more autumnal, October 4th, but it's fitting that Autumn Defense will play there and everything. So
the flip side to those nice location shows is I saw you guys in Nashville downtown, and there was construction going on like 2 blocks over. Oh,
did you see it just recently?
No, it was like back in 2000 or something that, 2001, something like that. And I do remember Jeff stopping the show and trying to get more jackhammer in his monitor.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
That was my first time I saw you guys.
Yeah, it's Maine is just so lucky, and there are so many incredible locales, for this kind of thing. And but it is very small. It's super manageable, very family friendly, and there's definitely enough food to choose from if you want to hang all day. It's open from we're 11 to 10 p.m. We're going to have a little, probably a little campfire sing along or something after the fact, a little bit later. But yeah, I would recommend everybody come out. It's going to be fun.
And then also, I think we have Spencer Albee and the Speed of Love, and Dominic Lavoie. Is a great artist. Spencer Albee is a really, really well-known Maine artist. He has a new band called Speed of Sound that's great. He has great pop chops. He's well-known in Portland and statewide, but Dominic is amazing. We also have a guy named Michael Dutton who's going to start out he's going to start out the show. He is a part of the Lost Kitchen too, actually. Okay. So he's an old friend of mine, musician that I've become reacquainted with, and in Maine, and he's got really good songs. He's going to kick everything off at 11, and but yeah, a lot of but we're really excited about our Maine artists and our artists from elsewhere. I like the focus on including the Maine artists, where it isn't just bringing in a bunch of people.
Oh yeah, no, we have to. I mean, there's so much good music in the state, and there's so much loyalty as well. Tough Cats have an amazing following, and so does Dominic and Spencer. So yeah, we're always going to make that a focus of the days of music for sure, because there's so many bands to choose from. I hope that continues. We can get hopefully get the Mallet Brothers someday, and bands like that.
Yeah. Is there a Maine band that's not on this bill where you would be like, oh, you guys should definitely check them out? You probably haven't heard of them yet. You could do the classic hipster thing, like, oh, they're pretty obscure. You've never heard of them.
Oh, really? You know what? I'm a little too old for that. Actually,
okay.
no,
Yeah, me too.
I don't have the intel, unfortunately. But we've had plenty of Maine bands like Dead Gowns. The first year. We've had a ton of people. I can't think of that emerging artist that. Although I know there's plenty out there.
Oh yeah, there's tons of them. All right, so Sonic Sleepover, October 4th, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. How much are tickets?
Tickets are $65 for the day, and kids, I believe kids get in free under a certain age. I can't exactly remember exactly, but everything's on the website, Otyokwa, Maine, OTYOKWAMAINE.com. And all of the information is there. And Otyokwa on Instagram, OTYOKWA, as well as there's a page called Sonic Sleepover on Instagram that's just the festival. So please check it out.
Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be a great time. And new Autumn Defense album coming out on October 10th.
Yep.
So definitely check that out. And thank you so much. This has been great.
Thanks, Lucas. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and best of luck with your film. And look forward to seeing that when it's in the can.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to Beyond the Broadsheet, a podcast by the Lincoln County News. This podcast is produced by Lucas McNelly and Maya Zewert. Tyler Davis of Tyality Productions provides production support. Our theme music is by Stu Mahan and Lincoln County News Associate Editor / Bassist Sherwood Olin. The Lincoln County News hits newsstands across the county every Wednesday afternoon, and you can also access our work online at lcnme.com. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion, please email us at info@lcnme.com. As always, we're grateful for the support of our readers and listeners in Lincoln County and beyond. It's been great catching up today, and we'll talk with you again soon.